So SEO is search engine optimization, which means bringing traffic to your website. So getting your website ranked on Google, well, on search engines. I'm not sure. Does anyone use a different search engine other than Google? If you want to let me know, you can throw it in the chat. I'm not sure, but usually when I do these classes in person, there might be maybe one or two people that might be using a different search engine, but primarily everything is for Google. Not sure if you use a different search engine, if anyone does, but Google's going to bring the majority of your traffic. Google's probably going to bring like 20 to 80% of your traffic. Then Bing might bring about 1%. Yahoo might bring about 1%. And then the rest is coming from social media, from emails, from people just typing your website in, or maybe you did some radio ads and told people to come to your website. But primarily everything is for Google. And that's me looking at hundreds, probably thousands of websites over the years. But again, everything changes and every website is unique. So you never know. You gotta look in Google Analytics and see where your traffic is coming from. See, Jeff is saying DuckDuckGo. So DuckDuckGo is a newer one that's more privacy oriented. So they're not tracking everything. That one I've seen actually gaining, where it's almost getting the same amount of traffic as Google, as Bing, which is still only about 1%. It does add up, but primarily everything is for Google. We'll have to see what happens in the future. Maybe DuckDuckGo might start becoming more and more popular, which it is, but we'll have to see if it becomes more popular than Google. We'll never know. We'll just have to wait and see. With everything with digital marketing, it just changes so frequently. So we'll just have to see what happens in the future. But right now, everything is for Google and getting traffic to your website. I say, you can see in the slides, I'm putting web page. That's because every page on your website is an opportunity to rank. You just don't want to rank your home page. Every page on your website is an opportunity to rank for a different set of keywords. So the more pages you have, the more keywords you can target. So don't just think you have to do one page, it's every page. And so optimizing every page on your website is an opportunity to rank. So when you search in Google, there's going to be ads at the top of Google. There might be ads at the bottom. It's all kind of random. If we all search, we're going to get different results. Some of us might get shown ads, some of us might not get shown ads, or we might get shown less ads. Like at the top of Google, there might be 4 ads, or 3, or 2, or 1, or 0. Kind of all random. At the bottom of Google, there might be 3, or 2, or 1, or 0. Kind of always changes. But in between those ads, there's always going to be 10 websites. And that's the organic results. That's what SEO is. It's getting your website in those 10 organic listings. There's always going to be 10 websites. Well, for now. Again, everything changes. So who knows what's going to happen in the future. But right now, there's always 10 websites. And it used to be just websites, but nowadays Google's become a lot more dynamic. There's images that appear, videos appear. This is all random. So there's always going to be 10 websites. There might be images, there might be videos, there might be maps, there might be news if some press came out. That stuff is all random, but best practice is optimize all your content. You have images. If you optimize all your images and your images appear and your website appears, that doubles the chances of someone finding you. And then if you have a video appearing, that triples the chances. The more real estate you take up on that first page of Google, the better off you're going to be without doing ads. You can run ads, but I just prefer not to run ads just because it is expensive and you have to really come down to like, what is your cost benefit? What is my return on my investment? How much is it per click? Which, that's a whole other topic to go on to. But for now, so here's what Google looks like. So for searching, here's the ads at the top, or AdWords, or PPC, pay-per-click. There's a lot of different names for the ads. But the organic results, it's always called the organic or SEO, search engine optimization. There's no other names for it or acronyms. It's getting your website or the pages on your website listed in those organic results. So this I put up there. I wouldn't look at the details too much because with SEO it changes so much. I just like to put this slide up there showing that with SEO, unfortunately, it doesn't really end. You're always going to start off kind of with the first section, starting off with initial analysis. Then you're going to do keyword research, find keywords that people actually search for. You don't want to just throw any keyword up there. You want to make sure that there's actually people searching for those keywords. Really, really important. And then we want to look at your competitors and see what they're doing, because with SEO, everything is transparent. I can see what you're doing, you can see what I'm doing. So all I have to do is look at my competitors and see what my competition is doing. What backlinks are they building? What keywords are they using on their website? And just try to copy those, put my own twist on them. Because if it's working for them, it's going to work for you. You just got to look at it and see what they're doing. And then the rest of the stuff, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all that stuff, it used to work. It doesn't really work as effectively. With SEO, it really changes and it's really dynamic. But what matters is there's only 10 spots on that first page of Google. When you get to that first page of Google, you're pushing someone off that first page of Google, and they are not happy about that. So they're going to look at all of the SEO that you've done on your website and try to outrank you. So it's kind of like a back and forth battle. So it just depends on the competition. The more competition you have, the more you're going to have to fight for that top spot. The less competition. If you're in an industry that you don't have any competition, there's no competitors, you don't have to worry about losing those top rankings. But if you're like, let's say, a restaurant in Los Angeles, there's a lot of restaurants out there that are competing for that first page of Google. So got a lot of competition. Whereas if you're a restaurant, let's say in a smaller city like Bakersfield, still big, but not as many people in there. So less competition, less people fighting for that top spot, less maintenance you have to do, which is really building backlinks, which I'll explain what backlinks are in a little bit and how to build those. But that is what SEO is right now, is just maintaining those. And the way Google works, or search engines work, is they go around crawling websites or crawling the internet, trying to read websites. So what they do is go line by line, or go onto websites and they go line by line, try to read all the code, try to figure out what your website's about. Then they have their algorithm, which is kept top secret. They put all the information in it and they figure out how relevant your website is to what people are searching for. Nobody knows how their algorithm works, so that doesn't really matter. You're not trying to beat Google. A lot of people always ask me, how do I beat Google? And we're not trying to beat Google. We're just trying to beat the 10 other websites that are shown on that first page of Google, because Google changes daily. No one's ever going to know how Google works. It's constantly changing. And so here is a website. Well, I don't know, does anyone have a website you want me to throw? I could show you how Google looks at your website. So if you want to throw it in the chat, if someone has a website, I could show you what Google sees compared to what we see. So I see Carling put PCH tutors. So I'll check your site. And everyone could do this on their own. So if you just go to your website, so if you're using Chrome or Firefox, you can right click on a website. It says view page source. And this is what Google and all the search engines see. So this is what we see. This is your website. You can see there's images, there's videos, there's icon. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. This is what we see, but this is what the search engines see. So they just see text. They don't see anything else. Like, I could scroll down this whole page, just a lot of coding. Don't worry, you don't need to know coding. Back when I first started doing SEO, you might have, or you needed to know coding, but nowadays, with all these platforms like WordPress, Shopify, and Squarespace, and Wix, you don't need to know coding, but just be aware this is what Google sees, which is just text. There's no images, there's no videos. If you're an e-commerce website and you just have a bunch of product pictures, Google's not going to be able to read that. They need text. That's all they are looking for, is content. Content, content, content. More content means more text for Google to read, because you can see this is all just text. And this is just a lot of coding. But in here, there's little spots that have words. So Google sees these words like Santa Monica, Brentwood, tutoring, currently, operating, exclusively. So Google's like, all right, what are you an exclusive? What does that mean? Tutoring, what are you tutoring? Service, what does that mean? Santa Monica, are you a business in Santa Monica? So they're just taking all this text and trying to put it all together to figure out what this website's about. If you don't have much content or much text on your website, it's going to be really tough for Google to understand what your website's about. I tell people 400 words or more is kind of like the standard that you want to put of text on your website. The more text, the more Google's going to be able to understand. And this is for every page that you want to rank, not just your homepage, but any page that you want to rank on Google. You're going to need content. Content, more content, more content. Because here's an image. As you can see right here, this is an image. It just becomes a line of text, just one line of code on this page, which had I'm not sure how long this code was, but if I click on it, you'll see this is an image. So here's an image. That image that we see looks nice, but this is what Google sees. It's just that line of code. So Google can't really read images. They read the file name on the image, but other than that, they can't read images yet. They're trying to, but content is what's needed. 400 words and more of good original content on any page that you want to rank. The homepage, any services, any product or category pages. If you're an e-commerce website, and a lot of people might be saying, Brandon, I can't do that. If I'm doing e-commerce, I have 500 products. I can't write 400 words of text. So don't worry about that. But the categories, that's what's important. Or the collections, if you're on Shopify, that's really what's more important. Don't worry about individual product pages, but homepage and services. Don't worry about the About Us, a contact page. Those aren't pages that you want to rank or that you need to rank. It's the services, the categories. Those are the pages that you want to be shown in Google, and those are the pages that you want to be optimizing. So here's what Target looks like. So here's just an example, and here's a coding that what Google sees. So again, they're not reading your website on how it looks. They're reading the coding behind it. And you don't need to know coding nowadays, so don't worry about learning coding. I mean, it's nice, it's helpful if you want to learn basic HTML. That's all you need to know for SEO. You don't need to know like JavaScript or CSS or PHP or any of the other languages. You just need to know basic HTML. But even nowadays, you don't need to do that with all these platforms and tools. But Google, again, takes all that information, throws in their algorithm, which is kept top secret. Nobody knows how it works. And it changes daily. Every few months, they'll have a big update, but it changes daily. So anyone that knows how it works or says they know how it works, tomorrow the algorithm changes and they're not going to know. So don't worry about trying to beat Google. You just need to beat the 10 competitors on that first page of Google. We need to look at what they've done. Because if you're trying to beat Google, it's not possible. Google's constantly changing, and it's really, really tough. And they've had lots of algorithm updates, and they have more and more that they keep putting out, and they're going to keep putting them out. So just be aware. There's a lot of stuff that goes on with Google. And I see Robert was asking about images. It's Google, or what about alt text on an image? So Google reads the alt tag or alt text, depending on what platform you're on. When you upload an image to your website, it's going to usually ask you what is an alt tag or alt text, and that's where you can put some more keywords. And so with SEO, it really is broken down into on-page and off-page SEO. On-page or on-site SEO is anything done to your website. Off-page SEO, so on-page is going into the coding, making changes into coding. Off-page SEO is really like link building or social media, or if you got an article published on the LA Times, it's not affecting how your website looks. So on-page, you do it to your website. Off-page, it's not affecting your website. You do on-page one time and you're done. So off-page SEO, that you're never really done with the off-page SEO. So yeah, unfortunately, you're going to constantly be building that off-page, on-page or on-site. There's different names, right? But here's what the on-page SEO nowadays looks like. There's a lot of stuff that goes into on-page SEO. So with SEO, you want to make changes to your website. There's a lot of changes you can make to your website, like making sure your website loads fast, making sure there's no broken pages. But first off, you just want, the most important on-page element is content. Content is king. Ever since I've been doing SEO, I've read that content is king, and I knew it was true, but I didn't realize how powerful it is. So content, more content, more content. Do not hold back. If you can write 800 words of text on each page, even better. 1,000 words, even more. The more content, the more text you have on your website, the higher you're going to rank. That's just how Google works, unfortunately, nowadays. Well, they just need that content. So I could show you. With the content, it's not 400 words. It's more content than your competitors have. So you just have to write more content than your competition. If your competition has 800 words, you gotta write 900 words. If they have 5,000 words, you wanna write 6,000 words. You gotta do more than they're doing. So I can go back to the example right here, and I'll show you, well, I don't know, does anyone have a keyword you want me to search for? And I'll show you just an example of how or why you need content, just because it's so very important. Content is number one. So I see Laura put brakes. I'm not sure if it's breaks for the car brakes or taking a break for school, but we'll just put car brakes, because so one word keywords really bad. You want to make sure you're using 2 or more words, because one word can mean a lot of different things. Just like I see someone or a few people who are like traveling. Like traveling means I want to travel to my family, or do I want to travel on vacation, or travel for work. There's no intent behind those keywords. You want to find, it's called long tail keywords, keywords that have more intent behind them with them searching. Someone's searching for traveling and just browsing around. They don't know what they're looking for. If someone's searching for travel vacations in Hawaii for summertime, they know that they want to go to Hawaii in the summertime. There's more intent behind that. But right now, I'll just show you an example, car brakes. I guess just a random keyword. I'm not picking anyone that I've looked at before, but if I search, skip over the ads, skip over the maps, and we're going to look at who's on that first page of Google. And I'm pretty sure that these websites are going to have some content on these pages. That's why they're ranking on this first page of Google. I'll just pick a couple random sites just to show you really quickly how important, or why I always tell people content is so very important, because these websites are on the first page of Google. And let's just look at these sites. So it doesn't matter where you put the text. You can put it at the top of your website, the bottom, the middle. You just need to put that text somewhere. If it's just images, so here is text. So this is all text. I mean, this is all text, text, text. So not that much content, but there's a decent amount of content. Let's look at some of these other ones. So more content. So if this is my competition, I would say I have to write more content than they have on their website. Google gives preference to big corporations and brands. They don't really need to do it. So we'll see if AutoZone does it, but they're a big company. So Google might favor them a little bit more. Well, no, looks like, all right, at the very bottom of AutoZone, here is a 400-word article of text. Nobody's going to read this content, but Google will read it 100% of the time, because most people don't scroll down on the website, but Google reads your entire website. Google scrolls down to the very bottom. Most people think about how often do you get to the very bottom of the website. Sometimes you do, but not all the time. So most people will never see that content, but Google will see it 100% of the time. Don't just, if this is a new website, don't just hide it in font size 0.001 with white text. That's going to be tricking Google. They're not going to be happy. You'll get in trouble for that. But if you put the content like AutoZone is, and Nordstrom does this, I mean, a lot of big websites do it because it works. If it didn't work, there's no need for it. But content is so very important. I mean, I could keep going on and going through other examples of keywords, but this is what you need to do. So here's another page. I think we already looked at this one, but content. So here's, oh, this is a whole blog, but well, no, this page is all content. So you can see content. If it was just a page with a bunch of images but no text, it would not be ranking on that first page of Google. You need to put that text there somewhere, anywhere. It doesn't matter where it is. You just got to get creative and figure out how you can incorporate that content onto your website. Then there's other places to put the keywords, then you want to do keyword research, figure out what keywords people actually search for. That way you put the right keywords on your website. You don't just want to put any keyword on your website. You want to make sure you're researching using different tools to make sure that there's actual search volume. There's a lot of tools that you could use that will show you how many people search for those keywords, like brake pads or traveling toddlers. We can see how many people search for that exact keyword every single day or monthly. They're paid and they're free. Most of them, well, there's one that's called the Keyword Planner. That one is a free tool. That one is good. It's from Google, so I would utilize that. The Google Keyword Planner is a good free tool from Google that will show you how many people search for your keyword every single month. So do keyword research, and then you want to start adding the keywords to different places on your website. And Google really looks at different areas on your website, like a title tag or a meta description. Unfortunately, everyone has a different platform in here. I'm not sure if you have a website or building a website, but there's a lot of different platforms out there like WordPress, Shopify, Wix, Squarespace are kind of the more standard ones. Not sure if other people have any different platforms, but each platform has or names the different SEO elements differently. So it's kind of hard for me to let everyone know, especially with a class this big. But when I do other classes, I try to keep it more one-on-one and really show you how to make these changes. But right now, it's just too many people with WordPress. There's plugins that you can add to your website that take care of a lot of this stuff. So if you're using WordPress, Yoast SEO is a really popular plugin. Y-O-A-S-T is a really popular plugin that a lot of people use. And it's free. There's a paid version, but you don't need the paid version. You just need the free one on WordPress. Shopify kind of has everything built in. Squarespace and Wix, they have it built in, but they limit a lot of the stuff that you could do on WordPress. I mean, on Shopify and on Squarespace and Wix, they limit a lot of the on-page SEO that you could do. So, I mean, they're all great platforms. I'm not saying switch platforms because you're on one versus another, but if you are rebuilding a new website or thinking of building a website, WordPress is probably the more popular one. And if you're doing e-commerce, Shopify is great for e-commerce, but they're all great. I mean, it doesn't matter what platform you're on. If you're on Dreamweaver, like I see Vivian is on, then you just then you need to know how to code. But with all these other platforms, you don't need to know coding. So that's a nice part about WordPress, Shopify, Squarespace, Wix. They kind of let you just go in there and edit the title tag, edit the meta description. There's a lot of different platforms out there. But you just want to go in there, and the most important place to really optimize is the content and the page title tag, or title tag. There's a different name for it, but that's where you put all your keywords. In this SEO title tag, which is a blue clickable link that shows up when you're searching in Google. Every website has a title tag. That is the most important. If you don't do anything else in this class, but at least do that, you will definitely see a boost in traffic, because Google looks at that as the most important place to put your keywords, 60 characters or less. So that's why you can only fit about 3 to 5 words in there. After that, you run out of room. And once you run out of room, you need to create new pages. So the more pages you have, the more keywords you can target, the more opportunities you have to rank for different keywords. So just be aware of that you only have 60 characters in that title tag. And that is the most important place to put those keywords by far. Everywhere else is kind of important, but if you don't have them in that title tag, it's going to be really hard to rank in Google. But yeah, so again, that really is the most important. Everything else is important, like speed is important, but with SEO, it's like a puzzle. You gotta put all the pieces together. If you just have some pieces in there, but you're not doing everything, you're not gonna get the rankings. You need to put all the pieces together, but some pieces are a lot bigger than others. Like the content is probably half the puzzle, having good original content. I mean, content is so very important. Then everything else is semi-important, but links, which is the next section, are the other aspect that are really important. Building backlinks to your website, because Google knows that with all these platforms, anybody can build a website with WordPress or Shopify or Wix or Tumblr or whatever platform you're on. And you can have keywords all over your website saying, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a physician. Google's like, are you really who you say you are? Because we can't trust you. Half of the internet is kicked off Google. I mean, more than half of the internet is kicked off Google. I mean, think about like the dark web and all these crazy sites out there. Google really has to scrutinize every website to make sure you are who you say you are. And it's really tough to build trust with Google. So backlinks are the way to build trust, because again, Google knows anyone can build a website. Not anyone, but it's a lot easier nowadays. There's not that big barrier to entry with like Dreamweaver and custom coding it all. Nowadays, you on WordPress, I could build a website in a couple hours. I mean, it's really easy and simple nowadays with all these platforms. Build a website, throw some keywords on it. Google's like, all right, that's good, but that's only half that puzzle. The rest of it is building these backlinks, which are a trust signal, because Google again does not trust you. So backlinks are clickable links from other websites that point to your website. The more clickable links that point to your website, the higher up you're gonna rank. It's kind of like a popularity contest, like other websites are voting for you. So Google looks at those votes as a trust signal. But there is a lot of other stuff with on-page SEO. So backlinks really are the most important thing, but there's content creation, there's competitor analysis, social media marketing, which I'll talk about later on. All that is off-page because it's not affecting the way your website looks. It's not going into the coding and making changes. With backlinks, these are links on other people's websites that point to your website. So it's not affecting your website. Content creation and distribution is creating content for other people's websites for building backlinks. Analyzing your competitors, it's not really affecting how your website looks. Social media doesn't affect your website on how it looks. So there is a lot with off-page, but primarily it all comes down to just link building. Building backlinks is the biggest piece of this puzzle with SEO. or for off-page SEO is just building good quality backlinks that point to your website from other websites. And there's a lot of, well, here's an example of a backlink. So if we're on this website, let's say this website is the LA Times. You're reading the latimes.com, going through here, and then you see that blue clickable link that says Ahrefs seafood chain. If you click on that blue clickable link, then you go from the latimes.com to ahrefsseafoodchain.com. Ahrefs seafood chain is getting a backlink from the LA Times. So the more clickable links that point to your website, the higher you're going to rank. Not sure if anyone has any questions about what a backlink is, but this really is important, is making sure that you have clickable links that point from other websites to your website. The more clickable links, the higher you're going to rank. There's a lot of quality standards that go into backlinks. In the past, it used to be a popularity contest, but now there's a lot of standards, like a backlink from the LA Times is going to be a lot better than a backlink from, let's say, my website. My website is good, but it's not the LA Times. So the bigger the website, the more trust, the more SEO value that backlink has. So there are standards with these backlinks. It's not the number of backlinks anymore. It's the quality of these backlinks. Quality over quantity. Because I have tools that with the click of a button, I can make 1 million backlinks. And 10 years ago, it used to work really easily. But now Google's like, hold on, we're looking for quality, not quantity, but quality backlinks. And their definition of a quality backlink is a website that's linking to you should be relevant. Don't just find any website linking out to you. Let's say like you're a real estate agency or you're a realtor. You don't want a backlink from a doctor. That's not going to make sense. Why is a doctor giving a realtor a backlink? Maybe you did real estate for them and you helped that doctor find a house. So it's okay to have 1 or 2 backlinks from them, but the majority of your backlinks are coming from off-topic websites. It's going to really throw Google's algorithm off. It's going to be like, why are these other websites looking out to you? This doesn't relevantly make sense. So relevancy is really, really important. And authoritativeness. The bigger the website, the more SEO value it has. So getting a backlink from, let's say, a Wikipedia or a Huffington Post or an entrepreneur, it's going to pass on a lot more SEO value than a smaller blog. So the bigger the website is, the more SEO value you're going to get from that backlink. So, but getting into these big authoritative websites is pretty tricky. Like, how are you going to get a backlink from Entrepreneur or Inc. or Forbes? So gotta really get creative with your strategies on that. Yeah, it's a little weird. Can't really trust what's online on Google or what's online. Everything is kind of fake. You know, I had one person come to me, or like a writer a few years ago, an entrepreneur, saying, do I want to be included on this list of top 25 SEO companies to look out for in 2017? Pay me like $2,000. And I was just like, I don't want to be on a list of, or a fake list, paying to be in this list. I mean, that backlink, I would probably would have paid for it, but paying to be on a list, I was just like, that's kind of weird. I don't want to pay for it. But a few weeks later, the person, after they published the article, they showed me the link. They sent me a link on entrepreneur.com. I think it had like 10,000 shares on Facebook and Twitter. It kind of went viral. And so, yeah, I mean, you can't really trust anything online. Whatever ranks on that first page of Google, it's not because it's the best. It's because they did better SEO. Not because it's the best company. It's because they did better SEO. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, that's all there really is to it, unfortunately. So don't just take everything with a grain of salt, whatever you see online. You never know. It's not because it's really the best company. It's just because they're doing a better job of marketing it. So I'll talk about analytics for a second. But before that, I can just show you like in Google, I optimized for the word keyword best looking guy in Los Angeles a while ago. And if you search, my website shows up #1, even though I'm definitely not the best looking guy in Los Angeles. A lot of competition out here, but even in Google Images, I have the first 2 images are me beating out some pretty big celebrities, which is not true. I would not trust Google. Why would they say I'm #1? But it's just because I did better SEO than these other websites. And even on my website, I even say that this post is a joke because I'm not that stuck up. This says like right here, this post is for fun to show you how easy it is to rank for keywords in Google. So I'm even saying to Google how easy it is. to rank for these keywords. But Google thinks I'm the best looking guy. So with SEO, you can't really trust what's online. It's just because someone's done better SEO. I see a couple. So I'm not sure if anyone has questions about backlinks, because those backlinks are how I got to that first page of Google. I see Garling, are sites penalized for having backlinks from lower quality sites, or they just not contribute as much? So kind of like I was just saying right now, the smaller the website, it's not going to have as much SEO value as the bigger ones, but it still has value. As long as it's not just a really random off-topic site, then I would say pass on that. But if it's a relevant website, relevancy is more important than authoritativeness. So, because getting into Forbes or Entrepreneur or Inc. or any of these big websites, I mean, Forbes, Entrepreneur, they're not about one specific topic. They're just a general website about a bunch of different topics. They're not about one specific industry. So like if I got an article from Forbes, that's great, but it's not an SEO related website. So I want relevant websites that are kind of related to my industry. Like it doesn't have to be just websites related exactly to me. Like I'm an SEO company. There's not going to be another SEO company that will give me a backlink. I just want to find semi-related websites. Like if I'm an SEO company, I could find other marketing websites or other advertising websites or people that do SEO, social media. Like if I'm a doctor and I'm trying to get other doctors to give me a backlink, or I'm a lawyer and I'm trying to get other backlinks to give me, other lawyers to give me a backlink, it's going to be really tough. We're all direct competitors, but you could probably reach out to another lawyer in a different state who's not a direct competitor, and they would probably be willing to give you a backlink. Maybe you have to pay them, but I mean, they probably would because you're not a direct competitor. There are a lot of different ways to build backlinks. I don't have time today to show you all those different tactics, but I see a couple questions about how can you see what backlinks you already have. So the best way to build backlinks is looking at your competitors. I could just go on Google, search for my keywords, and see who's on that first page of Google, and then take their websites and using different tools, like Karen is asking, is using those different tools. I could throw my website into like a different tool, and it'll show me all my backlinks or my competitors' backlinks. So I'll show you really quickly. I'm not sure if anyone has a URL or a competitor that you want me to throw into these tools, but the one I use, it's called Ahrefs, A-H-R-E-F-S. There's a lot of other tools out there. They're all good. There's tools like Moz, M-O-Z, or Majestic, or SEMrush, or Majestic. There's a lot of different tools out there. I use this one, Ahrefs, A-H-R-E-F-S. Doesn't matter which one you use. They're all going to be equally good, but I see Mick put McMillman.com. So you're a photographer. So if I was competing with you, if you're a Los Angeles photographer, if I was another photographer, I would just look at how many backlinks you have and try to get as many as possible from your website. So this tool is going to show me all your backlinks, and I can go one by one trying to get the backlinks that you have. Shows me that you have 221 backlinks, if you can see right there. But what matters is, so 221, I'd be like, all right, I have a lot of backlinks to try to catch up with this website. But really what matters is referring domains. How many unique websites are giving this person the backlink? Because my website could have 100 pages. And if I'm giving you a backlink from every single page on my website, your website now has 100 backlinks coming from my website. But it's only one unique website. So it's more important to look at how many unique websites, not how many backlinks, because some websites have 1 million pages, which seems strange. That I've seen websites that I'll look at their backlinks and they have 5 million backlinks, but it's only 50 websites that are linking out to them. If I saw 1 million backlinks, I'm like, I can't compete with this, but if it's only 50 unique websites, I mean, it's still gonna take time, but I could get 50 backlinks. Hundreds of backlinks, I could get thousands of backlinks. It's gonna take a while. So you wanna find websites that are similar to what your audience or what size you're in, and then I could sort it by this tool, which this tool arbitrarily picks which websites have the most SEO value. And then one by one, I could try to go in and acquire these backlinks. So I see Patreon, Yahoo, Expertise, Voyage LA. So these are the bigger websites. I would want to go after those first, and I could see exactly where your backlink is coming from on these websites. I could go to, like, well, let's go to like the expertise.com. So I see that you have a backlink on expertise.com. I would be like, all right, if I'm another photographer, how can I get a backlink on Expertise? Why did you get one? I'm a photographer. I should be able to get one as well. So I got to see, where are you getting this backlink? What page on, what section on this website? I can see right here. Here's your company name, McMillman Photography. So it's a clickable link. If I click on it, it should go to your website. So now you can see we left expertise, so now we're on McMillman photography. So you're getting a backlink from that website. The more click, and then I would try to figure out how could I get included on that other website, which unfortunately I don't have time to show you all those strategies. I'll just answer one or two other questions. Like I have sites that rank higher than mine with no backlinks. So I would have to look at why they rank higher, but they probably have some backlinks, and just having one or two backlinks from big authoritative sites is going to push them up the rankings. And not every backlink is treated equally. So just, it used to be if you had 200 backlinks, I would have to build 300 backlinks. But nowadays it's not the same. It's really the quality. So if you want to email me later, I could try to look into it and see what's going on and why that website would be ranking higher. Maybe they're doing some thing to trick Google, or who knows. But yeah, I am recording this class for us, so I'll send it out to everyone. Google Analytics is really important because I like to track everything, especially if you are running paid ads or just in general. You want to track what's going on and see where's my traffic coming from, what pages are they coming, visiting, what pages are they leaving. There's a lot of stuff in there, but Google Analytics is the one I would prefer using. I'm not sure if anyone has any other analytical tools. If you're using Shopify Analytics or WordPress Analytics, don't use those anymore. You want to use Google Analytics. They're all good, but Google Analytics is going to show you a lot more information than the other platforms, the free analytical tools. And Google Analytics is free, so I would highly recommend utilizing it. It's going to show you so much information about where your traffic is coming from, what pages they stay on, what pages they visit, what blogs they visit, or what blog posts they read, what blog posts they don't read. So let me show you analytics. A quick little example of analytics, because analytics is so very important. Yeah, let me switch over to analytics really quickly, because analytics is so very important. You have to track everything. You go to googleanalytics.com or search for, it's analytics.google.com, but if you just search in Google for analytics, you'll be taken to a website, you sign up, create an account, they're going to give you a tracking code, you put that tracking code on your website to let Google know this is really your website. That way you're not just getting information about one of your competitors. So you have to add a little tracking code, which is really simple. There's a lot of different ways to add the tracking code. I can't go over all the different ways. There's probably 5 or 6 different ways to add that tracking code to your website. So the sooner you put this tracking code on, the better. If you put your tracking code on in a week, you're not going to get any of this past week's data. If you put it on in a month, you're not getting any of the past month's data. The sooner you put it on, the better. If you're only getting one visitor to your website a day, that's still data. Data is invaluable. Look at like all these companies for data breaches. Data is the most important. So track everything. And this is where you're going to learn so much information about your audience. So the main place I like to look when I log into analytics is on the left-hand side. It's called acquisition, all traffic, and then source median. And this is where I'm going to see where my traffic is coming from. Are they coming from Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest? I mean, you can see DuckDuckGo is in here. There's a lot of stuff in here. So I would look, see where my traffic's coming from. I can see what pages are coming from, or what traffic sources. There's a lot of information in here. I don't have time to go over all of it, unfortunately, but the more important place I want to look at is bounce rate. How many people have come to this website and left immediately? On average, 40 to 60% of your traffic will bounce leaving immediately. This website has a 70% bounce rate, so it's a little bit higher. This is where I'm trying to figure out why is the traffic leaving, and then I could go one by one and look at where the traffic's coming from and figure out which traffic sources have higher bounce rates. Like right here, 100% of the people that came from DuckDuckGo left immediately. That is not a good sign. It was only 3 people, but still, 3 people that came left immediately. So I would try to figure out what is causing this bounce rate. Is my website loading slowly? Is it mobile traffic? I mean, there's a lot of variables that go into this bounce rate. I can't go into all that stuff. There is a lot of information in analytics, but bounce rate is so very important. Look at that bounce rate. Same with on the left-hand side. I can go to, on the left-hand side, it is behavior on the left-hand side. So behavior, site content, all pages. It's going to show me which pages get the most traffic. If I'm an e-commerce website, I want to know which products are getting the most traffic. This is where you can find that. If I'm a blog, I want to know which blog posts get the most traffic. This is where you can see that. So in here, you can see which pages get the most traffic. And again, look at that bounce rate. See which pages have a higher bounce rate. Does your shopping cart have a high bounce rate? Like the pricing page, 73% of the people left from the prices. Maybe I want to hide the prices or change the pricing around, or Who knows? Or maybe people just, it didn't load properly on mobile. I mean, there's a lot of factors. So don't just think it's your website. There's a lot of variables that could go into it. But here we're going to see what's going on, which pages get the most traffic, which products get the most traffic, and how long, and who stays on your website. There's a lot of information. It's a whole class that could be analytic. I know a lot of people are probably here for social media marketing and want to get more traffic to their website with social media. So social media really is social networking. A lot of social media, it's changed over the years. When I first did social medium or social networking, it started off as a website was a website, and a lot of people didn't trust these websites. Like, why buy off my website when you could just go on like Best Buy? If I was selling like laptop batteries, you're gonna be like, what's Brandon'sLaptops.com? Who is that? So Best Buy, Amazon, we always get a lot more sales, but social networking, social media was a way for a website to put a face behind the company. In the past, you'd be like, all right, who is this company? How can I trust them? Are they just some fly-by-night company that's going to take my money and run away? Like, how can I trust them? So social media was a way for people to put a face behind the company and interact and engage with them, ask them questions, make sure they are who they say they are. And it's really started off with that. It wasn't really meant to drive sales and business. It's evolved. Today, the social media, which is really driving traffic to your website, gets you a lot of traffic. There's a lot of stuff that goes on with social media, but it really is evolved a lot into, nowadays it's like an advertising platform, way for people to advertise and hit a whole new audience. But I'm going to talk about ways to grow on social media without having to advertise, without having to really spend any money. I've grown my own social media pages to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of real followers, never spending a penny on advertising. So I'll explain all that stuff, which really goes down to being social on social media. It's called social media for a reason. It's not social media, all is one word. It's social and media. They should put the word and in between it, because a lot of people just think social media is posting on Facebook or doing a status update on LinkedIn or updating your page on one of these other platforms. But it's being social is how you grow your accounts. If you're just posting content all day long, nobody's going to want to see that content. I mean, people will, but they want to be able to grow it. You need to be social on social media. That's how you really grow it. People want to see your content, but they want you to engage with them, and that's going to get them to want to learn more about who you are. So you have to be social on social media. If you don't take anything away from the social media section, at least realize social media, you have to not just post content, but actually engage and build relationships with other people. And social media is not just Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. I mean, YouTube is social media. Anywhere where you can like network and engage with people, that is social media. So there is a lot of social platforms out there, but you don't need to be on all these platforms. You just need to be where your audience is at, because that's the biggest pitfall with social media, is trying to be on every single platform. You don't need to be on every platform. You just need to be on the platforms that your audience is on. If you're trying to be on every platform, it's gonna take a lot of time, and that's where most people it becomes a big waste of time if you're trying to be on all the platforms. You just need to focus on where is your audience. I would recommend on social media joining as many platforms as possible and claiming your username. But trying to be active on every platform is not really a feasible, good long-term strategy. You just need to be active on the platforms your competition is on or your audience is on. And the way I find out that is just like we were doing SEO, competitor analysis. I'm going to do competitor analysis on my social media platform or on my competitor social media platforms. I'm going to see what platforms are my competitors using, what platforms are they active on social media. And by doing that, I'll just go on their website and most websites will list out they'll have icons for their Facebook, their Twitter, whatever platforms they're active on, they'll list those out. And then one by one, you could open them up and see which platforms your competitors are using. That's good, but you really want to see how much engagement are those platforms getting. If you see one of your competitors is posting on Instagram 3 times a day, but nobody's liking or commenting on their posts, maybe Instagram isn't where your audience is at. If you see they're on LinkedIn and they're getting lots of shares and comments, maybe you need to be active on LinkedIn. So don't just look at what platforms are on, but look at what platforms they're getting engagement on. That's going to show you what platforms you should be joining. So really, really important. Be on the platforms your audience on. And yeah, MySpace is still huge, depending on if you're a musician. It's big. I mean, every platform has a different audience. Foursquare, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different social media platforms, but you need to know, you need to be where your audience is at. And if your audience is on that platform, if you're not utilizing it, but your competition is, you're losing out. So you need to be where your audience is at. With social media, some of the challenges, because social media, there's stuff, it's not, I mean, it's easier than SEO, but there are things that change and constantly evolve. So with that social media, you just got to be aware that new websites emerge. That's like the biggest thing, like TikTok and all these new sites emerge, Facebook, or like everyone say like MySpace. They were throwing in the chat, like, why is MySpace in that picture? But MySpace was huge and then it just faded away. So you just have to keep evolving and just look at what platforms are out there and see which ones are where your audience is on. And just be aware that also like sites change. That also is a little tricky. Like Instagram keeps adding features, taking features away. So, or the buttons move around, or Facebook moves things around. So you just have to constantly be on them and know what features they add or what features they remove, because they do add some really nice and helpful features every once in a while. But if you're not reading up, or if you don't know, you might not be able to utilize them because they don't always promote them the best. So you just got to be on top of that. But branding yourself is a little tricky as well sometimes. Like that is really important, is branding yourself on social media. If you have your username, if my username on Facebook is Brandon Leibowitz, but on Instagram it's SEO Optimizers, on Twitter it's something else, you're gonna be like, this is really confusing. So consistency is huge. Even if your name, like my company name is SEO Optimizers, maybe it's taken on Twitter, then I'm gonna have to get creative. Maybe I put SEO Optimizers or SEO underscore optimizers, or SEO Optimizers Real, or the Real SEO Optimizers, or Brandon from SEO Optimizers, or whatever you can. But you want to try to make it consistent for people, because if you have a bunch of different ones out there, it's going to be tough for people to remember who you are. It's already tough enough for them to remember your website. And like, think about me, like how many times I've said SEO Optimizers, you probably still wouldn't even remember, or you might forget or misspell it. So having something simple, branding yourself, is going to be really beneficial in the long run. If you don't get the exact username, consistency will help out. Building a following is also a little tricky, but that's what I'll talk about in a few minutes on how to build a following on all these different platforms. But a following is great, but nowadays you want to get engagement. You want people to like, comment, engage. So it's kind of like with SEO. I always tell people, getting people to your website is half the battle, but after they get to the website, what happens? Well, you can see in Google Analytics that most of your traffic is going to leave immediately. So traffic is good, but ultimately you want sales, leads, conversions. That's what it all comes down to. Just like with social media, you want followers. Followers are great, but that only takes you so far. You want your bottom line, whatever your conversion, your goal is. Do you want phone calls? Do you want emails? Do you want subscribers? Do you want to sell a physical product? Are you trying to sell a service? Are you going to try to get clients? What do you want? Do you want the phone to ring? Do you want your emails to keep going off? Everyone has a goal. That's the bottom line. That's what SEO, social media, that's all about, getting that bottom line. Like all this stuff is just ways to get traffic to your website. Like social media is really a way to get traffic to your website. That's really what it's all about. Just like with YouTube, you put YouTube videos out there to drive traffic to your website. I mean, you want your YouTube subscribers to grow. You want your Facebook following to grow, but look at Facebook right now. Facebook is really fading away, and I'll touch on that. But Facebook and all these platforms, like if you invested all your money and time on Facebook, now you'd be like, maybe I should have been looking at Instagram a little bit more, or maybe I should be looking at some of these other platforms because Facebook is not as popular as it used to be. But so you don't want to just put all your eggs in one basket. You don't want to just do one platform. You have to diversify, because you never know what's going to happen. MySpace 5, 6 years ago or 8 years ago, people were all about MySpace. If that's all you focused on now, you might not be the most popular. Unless you're a musician, it will still work. But again, everything is so dynamic and changes so frequently. So just got to be on top of that. And some of the stuff that I want to talk about today, or the platforms I want to go over today, would be Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. I'm not really talking about Snapchat, because with Snapchat, it's really tough. Like Snapchat, people are going there to look at like celebrities and influencers. They're not looking at brands. You're not going on Snapchat to look at Target or Walmart. I mean, maybe some people might, but It's not really what it's used for. Same with like a small and medium-sized business. No one's going to really be going on Snapchat looking for you, so I wouldn't worry about Snapchat too much. TikTok, I probably will add that on in the future just because it just keeps going up and up and up in popularity and it's not slowing down. So I will add that in the future. Probably one of the Wednesday classes, I'll do a whole one on TikTok because it is a newer one. I haven't spent too much time on it because it is more for younger generation. It's changing, but it's more for like middle schoolers and high schoolers, and they don't really have disposable incomes to spend on product or services like myself. So they're not really going on social media to look for an SEO company. They're maybe looking for products possibly, but it's just, again, the intent isn't there. So not really use it. But yeah, I see a couple of Vivian is asking about Pinterest. So Pinterest is so powerful. People really undervalue Pinterest, but Pinterest can be more powerful than anything else if your audience is on there, just like all these other traffic sources, which I'll talk about Pinterest. But Pinterest really, like Lisa is saying, yeah, Pinterest is really, really powerful, Lisa. Yeah, I use Pinterest Tailwind. Yeah, kills it for the game. But yeah, and I'll talk about Pinterest. It used to be all female oriented. Now I think the new people that register on Pinterest nowadays, it's 50% males and females, 50%. I mean, it still is more female oriented, but the new subscribers, that's what I read, but I'm not sure. That was from Pinterest. Who knows really how accurate it is? They're probably just getting more people to come to their platform. But with social media, I want to talk about Facebook first. I mean, Facebook still is the second most popular website out there. So Google's the most popular website. Facebook and YouTube switch off between number 2 and number 3 every day, where they're still huge. Facebook is huge, but not as, I mean, people go on Facebook all the time to look at, like, connect with friends and family for birthdays and stuff like that, but people aren't really using Facebook like they used to in the past. Like, I probably haven't gone on Facebook and posted on my Facebook page in maybe a year or two, so I'm not as active on Facebook. Most people aren't as active. I use Facebook just because clients use it and I need to be on it for SEO, but other than that, I'm not really using Facebook too much nowadays, but it still is popular. So having a presence on Facebook is good, but in terms of driving new clients and new sales, it's tough because Facebook is really a pay-to-play platform. The only way to get a presence on Facebook is you have to pay Facebook to show your content to them. So what happened was in Facebook went public a few years ago, and Facebook was like, all right, we need to make money. How can we make money? We're not really making money right now. So they said, let's stop showing your content to everyone. So in the past, let's say you have 100 people that like you on Facebook. You post a status update on Facebook, all 100 people would see that status update. Once Facebook went public, they're like, no, maybe we just show it to 50% of your audience. And then we have this little blue button that says, boost this post up, pay us, and we'll show it to the rest of your audience. So Facebook realized that people would spend that money, boost that post up, and Facebook started making money. So Facebook said, all right, let's stop showing to 50% of your audience. Let's show it to 40%. Then it's down to 30%. And then they went to 20%. I think right now it's 5% of the audience, the people that like your page on Facebook will see what you post. So if you have 100 people that like you, only 5 of those people will ever see what you post on Facebook without you having to boost that post up and advertising with Facebook. So that's why I say Facebook has lost a lot of value, because unless you're willing to spend money on Facebook, nobody's going to really see your content. And other than joining groups seems to be the best way to get engagement or grow my audience. So joining groups seems to be better in terms of growth. So what I do is I'll post a video. So you can post like pictures. Pictures don't do that well on Instagram or on Facebook. Like, I'll post a picture, I might get a couple likes. I can post a video, I'm probably gonna get like 20, 30, 40 likes. So videos get a lot more engagement. If I just do a normal status update, I might just get 1 or 2 people liking it. So people want visual content. So what I do is I take a video and I'll post it on my page. I have a page for skateboarding. It's not for SEO. Nobody cares about SEO on social media. Nobody's reading my content. Occasionally they will, but I really focus, or I have a social media page because I love skateboarding, made it about skateboarding, and it's grown to, I think, 49,000 likes on Facebook. So I post a video on Facebook on my page. I barely get 100 or 200 people that see my video and watch that video, even though I have almost 50,000 likes on my page, which are all real people. Only like a couple hundred people see that content. So what I do is I take that video and I'll join groups that are related to skateboarding. So finding other groups that are related to a niche. I'll join those groups and I'll share my video in like 10 groups, and I'll get my videos up to a couple 100,000 views in a couple of hours or pretty quickly. Sometimes I'll get millions of views off those videos, off sharing it in just those 10 groups. I'm sure you're gonna get kicked out of a couple of groups and be like, stop spamming us. Like, as long as you're not promoting yourself, like I'm not posting in a group saying, check out me, follow me. I'm just posting a skateboard video or skateboard clips. I'm not promoting myself. You're promoting yourself and sharing in these groups, they're gonna kick you out. So I would just, again, you could ask moderators of these groups before you post and ask them, is it okay if I post, so they don't kick you out for spamming? But these videos work really well. Unfortunately though, it's a lot of work. So I'll post a video on my website or on my Facebook page, share it on 10 groups. I mean, it's not that much work, but I'll get maybe like 100 new likes on my page, which is great. 100 new people like my page. That's 100 new people seeing my content. But Facebook only shows your content to 5% of those people. So I did all that work just to get 5 new eyeballs on my content. So as you can see, the cost, the time versus return on your investment is not that good with Facebook unless you advertise. So if you want to advertise on Facebook, that's really the only way. I try to avoid advertising, but if you want to advertise on Facebook, go for it. It's going to work, but it costs money. And I could avoid spending money by doing other tactics, by joining groups, I would do that instead. But I mean, Facebook ads do work. You just have to make sure you never boost a post. If you ever click that little blue button that says boost this post up, you're really throwing money away and just giving it to Facebook. You have to go into Facebook Ad Manager and really go in there and create an ad. Don't just boost a post up. So if you're just boosting a post up, because it doesn't give you the same features and functionality as really doing an advertisement, there's more of a learning curve. I'm doing a real ad, but that's why Facebook has that little blue button, because they know people are just going to click it and they don't know the difference. Again, I do digital marketing. This is what I've done for a living. So I know that it's not the same in terms of targeting. So you really want to go into Facebook Ad Manager. I'm not going to talk about ads too much today because I really want to show you like more organic ways to get free traffic. But the ads work. I'm not going to say don't do them. The only ads I like to run is called remarketing or retargeting, where if someone comes to my website and doesn't check out or doesn't go to the contact page, hit them with ads. So like if you go on Amazon and you look at a product and you see these ads that kind of follow you around the internet, like if you go look at a product and you don't buy it, that's going to be marketing and retargeting. That's really qualified. People have come to your website, they know who you are. Showing them ads is just to keep you top of mind. Most people won't click those banner ads, but it just keeps you top of mind. You can do this on Facebook and Google. You gotta do them separately, but those are the only ads I ever run. I don't really run normal ads because they're just so expensive, but remarketing, retargeting, these people have come to your website, they know who you are. Especially someone that's gone to your website and you're doing e-commerce. If you have a shopping cart, someone's gone to your website, added a product to the shopping cart, but did not check out, you can follow them around the internet with ads. They were that close to making a purchase. Something distracted them. Maybe they're on their phone. Somebody called them and they forgot about it, or who knows what the issue is. But if someone that's gone to your website, added a product to the shopping cart, and did not check out, you can follow them around with ads. So there's a lot you can do with these tactics or with Facebook. But I try to avoid doing all that stuff, do the organic stuff. But with Facebook, you have to engage, be social on social media, like other people's pictures or videos, content, comment, share, engage. I used to tell people update your stats a few times a week, but then I realized like it just depends on your audience. For my SEO page on Facebook, I'm only going to update that content maybe once or twice a week. After that, it's going to be too much. You're going to be like, this is too much, Brandon. I don't want to see enough, or I don't need to keep reading about Facebook or social SEO. But for my skateboarding page, I could post on there 10 times a day and nobody's going to get sick of that content. Just like if I was a news website, I could post 20 times a day, 50 times a day. If I was posting about the NBA and any sports, people are not going to be mad or upset with you posting multiple times. So what I like to do is look at my competition, see how frequently they post. If my competitors are posting 5 times a day, I'll post 10 times a day. If they're posting twice a day, I'll post twice a day. So just look at how frequently they're doing it, and that's going to give you insight. And Twitter is a popular one out there. Twitter, for some reason, keeps getting more and more popular and keeps growing, probably because of the president using it so much. Other than that, I'm not sure why Twitter would keep taking or growing so much, because Twitter doesn't have as many features and functionality as other social media platforms, but people use it. So if your audience is on Twitter, which Twitter is one of the biggest websites out there, I would still utilize it. Twitter is more kind of like news, comedy, informational kind of content, but if your audience is on that platform, jump on it and don't let it slip by. What I like to do is go into Twitter, so I should have said, gone back. So when I'm creating a Facebook, I want to make sure I create a business page on Facebook, not a personal page. Really, really important. There's a big difference. Business page on Facebook gives you a lot more features and functionality. Friends page or personal page doesn't give you the same feature. So it's okay if you have a personal page, you could convert it into a business page, but you just want to make sure that you are making it a business page. With Twitter, there's no personal or business pages. There's just, you create a Twitter account and you have a Twitter account. And the way I grow my Twitter account, so what I do is I'll go in, and everyone can do this if you have a Twitter account. You go into Twitter and go to one of your competitors' pages and see who's following your competitors. You can see who's following your competitors, and one by one you can go in and follow your competitors' followers, because if they're following your competitor, they're probably interested in your product or service. They just don't know who you are yet. So by you following them, that's going to get them to get a notification on their profile. They're going to, and in turn, look at who followed them. And if the targeting is done properly, they're going to want to follow you back, because you're offering a similar product or service at the other pages. So just, yeah, follow your competitors' followers. You can't do that on Facebook. Facebook won't let me see who likes a page. I do see Vivian was asking, you can make a personal page into a business page. So if you do have a personal page, you can merge that into a business page. So it's not the end of the world. Like, don't worry if you have 500 or 5,000 friends, you can change that into a business page and you'll make that 5,000 likes. So, but Twitter, don't have to worry about that. Twitter though, you can post multiple times on Twitter. Twitter, I could post 5 times a day, 10 times a day. Nobody's gonna really get mad, because the lifetime value of a tweet is like 15 minutes, I think. After that, your tweet gets buried in the hundreds or thousands of other tweets put out there every single day. So Twitter is really short-lived. I could post the same thing twice a day. No one's gonna get mad. I mean, on Facebook, if I posted the same message twice, you'd be like, what are you doing, Brandon? Stop posting that on Facebook. But Twitter, you can post that same messaging multiple times a day and interact with other users. So if I want to message someone on Twitter, I could just use the @ sign in front of a username. Like my username is @Brandon or Brandon. I could just put the @ sign in front of my name, and that will send me a message saying, hey, Brandon. And this is the way I connect with a lot of people. Like if you message somebody on Facebook, it's going to get sent to that filtered inbox that a lot of people don't know about on Facebook. There's a filtered inbox, which if everyone goes later today and looks, there's an inbox on Facebook that is for people that are considered spam. Facebook doesn't want anyone to message you, so they're going to put in a filtered message inbox. But Twitter, you send someone a message, they're going to get that message. And I've reached out and gotten a lot of big people to respond back to me on Twitter that I would not have expected to got back to me. So it's very nice. But Twitter, they really made hashtags popular. So I'm not sure if everyone knows what a hashtag is, but a hashtag is putting the pound sign in front of a word. So if my hashtag was skateboard videos, I would use the pound sign and then the word skateboard videos, all as one word, no spaces. You're just going to have the words all together, and that's a hashtag, which is essentially like a keyword. So when you're doing hashtags, think of hashtags like keywords. You don't want to just rank for the word like, I don't want to rank for skateboard or skateboarding. That's not a good keyword, because there's no intent behind that. There's a lot of things people could be searching if they're searching for skateboarding, like what is skateboarding? How do I skateboard? Skateboarding trick tips. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but I'm doing videos of skateboarding, so I would want to use the hashtag skateboard videos. So skateboard videos or skateboarding videos is a lot more targeted. Less people are going to be using that hashtag. Skateboarding is going to probably get like thousands of people using it every single day, but of those people using it, how many people are looking for skateboard videos? Not all of them. So I'm going to allow people that come to my page and leave immediately. I want targeted people. So skateboard videos, videos for skateboarding. I mean, those are, again, anything that's more than one word is a broad keyword. Anything more than 2 words is called a long tail keyword. For SEO and for social media, hashtags, keyword research, kind of falls into play. So definitely utilize hashtags. That's going to help grow your account. And Pinterest is another platform that is kind of undervalued. A lot of people look over Pinterest thinking it's not that important, but Pinterest can really bring more traffic than any other platform out there. Pinterest is more female oriented. It's about, I'm not sure the exact numbers, but I'd say it's probably 80% females versus male, but those numbers are changing. I think the number of female or signups, it's half males and half females that are signing up. Pinterest is more pictures, but now there's images. There's videos that are showing up in Pinterest. So Pinterest is really for DIY, crafting type of websites. If your website is about fashion, DIY, crafting type of things, Pinterest is going to get you more traffic than any other platform. And people on Pinterest have intent. They're looking for ideas for things to craft or fashion, which means they know they're going to have to spend money if they are on there. So Pinterest, they have intent to actually make purchases and spend money. So I would use hashtags. So when you post on Pinterest, you can post pictures or videos. When you upload the picture or video, you can use hashtags. You can use hashtags on all these platforms, but Facebook really joined late in the game with hashtags. So not as many people use hashtags on Facebook. Twitter really made hashtags what they are. So I would have 100% use hashtags, a couple hashtags, maybe like 2 or 3 hashtags per post on Twitter. Pinterest, kind of joined a little late. They use hashtags. It's not that important, but I would still utilize them and take advantage of hashtags just because they drive more traffic to your page and drive more awareness. But again, with social media, with Pinterest, I would be on social media, engage with other Pinterest accounts, like other people's content, share other people's content, reheart other people, comment, build those relationships. Really, really important. And in Pinterest, when I upload an image or a video, it's going to ask for a description. The first line in that description, I'm always going to put my website URL, just because that's another clickable link to my website. In case someone doesn't know how to get to my website, that's the first thing they're going to see. If they see a nice picture, like if I'm selling like women's dresses, they see a nice dress on Pinterest, but they don't know how to get to my website, having that clickable link as the first line in the description is going to drive more traffic. So Pinterest, you could also follow, like I was saying earlier before with Twitter, I can go to Pinterest and look at your competitors' followers and start engaging with them and follow your competitors' followers. That's going to get real people to follow you back. I saw earlier someone mentioned Tailwind is a great tool for posting on and scheduling out content on Pinterest, where you can schedule out content for the next 6 months and sit back and let it do it for you. Then you just have to worry about growing and being social on social media to keep the accounts. That way new eyeballs see it. That way it's not the same people that just come to your page that see that content. And the platform that everybody is here for is Instagram. I'm sure that's the main reason that everyone's here for social media is how to grow Instagram, what can I do with Instagram. And yeah, Instagram is probably one of the more popular ones out there. Probably is the most popular one out there today. Instagram is owned by Facebook. So Facebook owns Instagram. And Facebook is slowly doing what they did to Facebook to Instagram, where they're not showing your content to everybody. They're showing it to, I'm not sure what the exact number is. It's probably like 50% of the people or 40% of the people that follow you on Instagram will be showing your content. And it changes all the time, but they're dropping it because they want you to boost your post up and advertise and spend money. That way their stock goes up. That's all it comes down to is how can Facebook make more money? And they realize they don't show your content to everyone. You're going to have to pay them. They're not going to drop reach down to 5%, which is what Facebook is at right now, 5% reach. Instagram has a lot of competition out there, so they're not done. They have a lot of competition. So if they drop the reach to 5%, everyone's just going to leave and go to TikTok and Snapchat. So Instagram knows we can't do that yet, but eventually if Snapchat disappears, if TikTok disappears, they'll quickly drop that reach to 5%. But right now it's still pretty high up. So Instagram, it started off with pictures, then it went to 15-second videos. Now it's 1-minute videos, and then Instagram started adding more features because Instagram is competing with Snapchat. So Instagram made stories. So Instagram created stories, which is the same thing as Snapchat, because Instagram is like, we don't want people on Snapchat. Let's get all these people onto Instagram. So They created stories, which are 15-second videos or pictures. They last 24 hours, just like Snapchat. After that, they get deleted. They're quick little snippets of information. I would try utilizing them. Instagram and Snapchat are competing against one another, so Instagram wants to see more stories. And more stories people do, the more stories Instagram can report to their shareholders and say, look, Instagram is getting 10,000 stories a minute. Snapchat gets 5,000 stories a minute. Look, we're beating them out. So stories, I would try to use them more, because when you log into Instagram, the first thing you see is always those stories at the top. So Instagram is pushing those stories. They want you to watch the stories. The more people watch the stories, the more that Instagram or Snapchat is just going to drop off. So utilize stories, play around with them. Stories are really powerful because Instagram locks you on Instagram. They don't want you to leave Instagram. I have a page. It has 340,000 followers on Instagram for skateboarding. It really took off and exploded, but my page only gets about, I'd say 20 clicks a link, 20 clicks to my bio link a week, which is not that much. 20 people click on my link a week out of almost 350,000 people. Not that many people, but if you had 10,000 more people that follow you, you could do these swipe up stories. I'm not sure if you've seen them, where it says swipe up and then it goes to your website. If I do an Instagram story with a swipe up, I could get a couple hundred people to my website in a few minutes. It's really, really powerful. You have to have 10,000 or more people to be able to get that swipe up story or feature, but that is the most powerful feature on Instagram. Everything else on Instagram, it locks you on Instagram. They don't want you to leave Instagram. They want you to stay on Instagram. So Instagram, they have all these new features like IGTV, which is long form video. Facebook or Instagram want to incorporate long form video. How do we add videos that are longer than 1 minute? IGTV is long form video because Facebook is really, really popular with videos right now, but Facebook is declining, and Facebook knows they're on the decline, and they're just like, how can we get videos from Facebook onto Instagram? IGTV was a way to do that. So if you have videos on Facebook or on YouTube, throw them up on IGTV, test them out. You already have that content made. You don't have to make new content. See how it works, or see if it works for you. Make a business page for Instagram. Well, business or personal page don't have that big of an impact. Business page just gives you more data on analytics, but I would recommend using a third-party tool for analytics. So it's not the most important, but it will just help out, just keeping it organized, looking clean. And yeah, so Instagram, there is a lot, and Instagram is a more popular one, but I would just use hashtags as well. Instagram made hashtags, or really utilizes hashtags as well. You could use up to 30 hashtags per post. I would not use that many. I would try to use maybe just a couple per post, but it works really well using those Instagram or using hashtags. But follow your competitors' followers on Instagram. You'll see they're going to follow you back. So go into Instagram, start following a couple of your competitors' followers, or liking their pictures, or watching their stories, or whatever you can. You can be social on social media. That's going to drive awareness to your page. And I would recommend using a content calendar just to stay organized. So you don't want, it's tough to really stay organized and have a structure with social media sometimes. So I like to use a content calendar. I would just go onto Google and search for content calendar template. You download a template, and then you can just go in there and fill in the blanks. It's basically just a calendar. It says Monday, or then each day you say what you're gonna post. Maybe Mondays, you do a blog post. On Tuesdays, you post a product picture. On Wednesdays, you do a shout out. On Thursdays, you do a giveaway. On Fridays, you announce the winner on the giveaway. Saturdays, you do whatever, but you kind of gives you a way to stay organized, and you could set up the whole month's content in advance, which is what I usually do. Is just helps you stay organized and not spend that much time on social media, because social media does become big, or it does take a lot of time. If you could schedule everything about ahead of time, it does take a lot of time to set this all up, but you just set this all up and set it and forget it and let it just go automatically. And there's some ethics with SEO and with social media. You just want to make sure that you follow the terms of service, that you're not spamming, give credit to people if you repost their content. Don't just take their content without or giving them credit. Make sure you share or give them credit, let that person know where they, or yeah, because then they usually reciprocate the favor. I've had people with 1 million followers repost one of my pictures just because I reposted one of their pictures and gave them credit. I mean, it's kind of weird, but as long as you give them credit, they might reciprocate the favor. You never know. So just be nice. Don't take other people's content, which a lot of websites do. Give people credit. Don't spam. Follow the terms of service, and you should be good to go on growing your accounts. And some strategies that I utilize, well, building relationships. That way I could have other people. So what I like to do is I'll find other people in my audience. Like if I have 5,000 followers, I'll find other pages that have 5,000 followers, build a relationship with them saying, hey, I'll repost your videos on Tuesdays if you repost my videos on Wednesdays. So building relationships has really helped me grow a lot. Now when I have over like 50,000 or 100,000 followers, I can find these bigger pages and build those relationships, and they'll work with me because we're just helping one another tap into our audiences, because we're all competing with these big magazines and newspapers. So there's always room to help one another out. Separate business with personal profiles where applicable. Not always, but definitely with Facebook, make sure you're using business, not personal. Use hashtags where appropriately. I mean, Instagram and Twitter would be the more important ones to use hashtags. All of them are important, but Instagram and Twitter are really, really where you have to use hashtags to drive more awareness and drive more visibility to your content. Share other people's content. Just give them credit. Using keywords in your posts, that helps just people find you, but mainly using keywords in the hashtags. That's really the more important place to put those keywords. I see Mick was asking about voice search. Voice search is another way to optimize your content. I just try to write good content, answering people's questions, because when people speak into the voice search, they're going to be asking a question. So I want to have my content kind of as like question answer style. I see Karen, why do you suggest 2 hashtags instead of 30? Because if you use 30 hashtags, Instagram will do what's called a shadow ban, where if you keep using the same hashtags over and over again, Instagram will block your hashtags from showing up. Kind of strange. So yeah, just mix up the hashtags. Don't use the same ones over and over again. Wesley, any specific content calendar that I use? I would just search in Google. I'll probably add that to my list of tools since I get that question a lot. I haven't had time to add it yet, but I will definitely add that. But I was just searching Google for a content calendar, and you'll find a bunch. It's just basically a calendar. Cameron, how to drive traffic to Pinterest? I would drive traffic to Pinterest by just putting out lots of pins or adding lots of pins on pictures, which are pins on Pinterest, and following your competitors' followers. That's going to help you, in turn, get more people to become aware of you. That is how I drive traffic to Pinterest. Just keep on posting good content. Put keywords in the description, put your URL, because that's how you drive traffic from Pinterest to your website. Because once you get traffic to Pinterest, you want to take that traffic from Pinterest to your website. Everything really is a funnel to your website. That's the ultimate goal, is get people to your website. Caroling, is it necessary to pay someone to optimize my site to make a really big difference in traffic? Or can I do this on my own? I mean, you can do it on your own. It just depends on how much time and you invest in it. For a business owner, I mean, you could definitely learn it. There's a lot of stuff you could do. There's some stuff that you might want to have someone like myself or an SEO company do, because a lot of it is kind of tedious, but you can do a lot of it yourself. It's the on-page SEO. I mean, the link building, that's the part that might be a little tricky, but you can do keyword research. You could add the content to your website, all that stuff you could definitely do and optimize it yourself. But it's building the backlinks. That's the part that I usually tell people that it's better just to pay someone else. It's like me trying to learn your business. I would love to learn your business, but for me to do that, it's going to require a lot of time invested on my end. So I would want to learn the basics, especially if you are hiring an SEO company. Now you know what to look for. So if you're not going to do all of it, you know what these companies should be giving you. If they do the wrong type of SEO, you actually hurt your rankings more than going to help you. So it's really important to do that.